Chaile time. Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Chaile Time. Today I'm alone. Toby's not here. So there's more bad news in South Africa. Unemployment rate just keeps skyrocketing. As we speak, more and more jobs. People are losing jobs, and then there's like 300,000 people losing their jobs. Most companies are embarking on this Section 189. When you open the news, it's just big. It's so bad. It's even affecting the domestic work industry, because there, plus minus 100,000 jobs are lost there. So it's so bad. These are the current affairs for this week. But now, today, we're not going to talk about a lot. We're living in a world of dog-eat-dog world. I'm currently dealing with a case whereby it's getting me emotional, this case, because, in my line of work, I don't really apply to emotions because we're dealing with facts. But this one specific case that I'm currently dealing with, I'm fighting a 88-year-old woman. How terrible am I as a human being? Woman on tech, how terrible am I as a human being? But it's a matter of, I think it's a family feud, It's a family feud where now the family doesn't see eye to eye. And then since 2024, there is a serious conflict in that family. So now let me take you through the story. In 1989, I was 2 years old. In 1989, this old woman found a company of which he had shareholders, and the shareholders started this business, and then she was appointed as a director of this company. So from 1989 until 2024, she's been a director of this company, and she's working alone, as a director of this company, running day-to-day operations. So there's like 4 companies, but I'm not going to talk about the other 3 companies because it's a different issue on its own. So the specific one that I'm currently dealing with, so our argument here is that she's claiming that she is an employee. The argument is she's not an employee. I hope I make sense. She's claiming that she's an employee, but all the evidence and the proof that we have in front of us confirm that she's not an employee. Now, the shareholders gave her a directorship of this company for all those years. But now in 2024, she resigned as a director from this company. But in the midst of her resigning, she employed herself as a manager, saying she's managing that business and then now she deserves a salary every month. But there's no employment contract in place. There's no pay slip. What she has is another subcontract company that is rendering services to this company that she is running. I hope I'm making sense here. I hope I'm really making sense. So now, because of the family issues, now the shareholders happen to be the daughter-in-law. I'm not naming and shaming. Happens to be the daughter-in-law. But now because she's old, she should have maybe went for retirement at the age of 60. But we know that some people love working, keeping themselves busy and that. So she was supposed to go for retirement, but she's like, no, she appoints herself as a manager. She employs herself. Who does she report to? She reports to herself. Who does she take instructions from? She takes instructions from herself. So now the argument is that she's not an employee, but she was a director, and then her tenure ended in 2024. Now she went to the CCMA and opened a Section 73 that she's owed salaries from last year, May 2025. I think that was the first month of the new financial year. I think their financial year ends in April, and May it's a new financial year. Now, from 2024, I think she resigned around September. She was getting that fee. I think it's some sort of a fee where directors will normally get that fee every month. But now, that fee ran up until the financial year, even though she resigned in September 2024 as a director. The fee ran through up until April 2025. Now, from May 2025 to date, she hasn't been receiving that, I don't know what to call it, but that amount of money. So now this is what she's fighting. But now let's look what the law says in terms of arguing if someone is an employee or not. It is Section 200A. When we make a presumption as to who is an employee, until the contrary is proved for the purpose of the Act, any employment law and Section 98A of the Insolvency Act 1936, Act number 24 of 1936, a person who works for or renders services to any other person is presumed, regardless of the form of contract, to be an employee if any one or more of the following factors are present. So now remember, I stated that the old woman, she employed herself. Now she reports to herself. So now, number A, the manner in which the person works is subject to the control or direction of another person. I hope it makes sense. She employed herself and she reports to herself. B, the person's hours of work are subject to control or direction of another person. So now, on the normal circumstances, I have a Monday to Friday job, 8 to 4. It's on my contract. There's a boss that I'm reporting to every day. But with her, when we ask her, so how many hours do you work? She's like, no, I'm always available for 24 hours, but I'll do the books here, the SARS returns there, here and there, I'll do that. Then my argument was, yeah, as a director, you take care of those things because you are a director of that company. No. As a manager, as an employee. So now she doesn't really have hours that she works. You know that employees at ShopRite, they will work shifts. Monday, Thursday, I'll be off. Wednesday, I'll come in at 4, knock off at 9. Saturday, I'll come in at 12, knock off at 9. So now, those are the shifts. But now, because there is a shift roster on the wall that is put there, that person, they've got hours of work, which are determined by someone else or a superior. C, in case of a person who works for an organization, the person forms part of the organization. So now there's no organization there. It's one person who's been working there alone, doing the work there alone since 1989. So there's no organization. The person has worked for that other person for an average of at least 40 hours per month over the last 3 months. She said she doesn't have hours that she works. One day she will do an hour of just doing the tax returns and this and that. And one important thing that I forgot to mention, she doesn't have a pay slip. Now, her money does not go to a bank account, her personal bank account, like a normal person will get their salary. Because when we say she must bring the bank statement that shows that she was getting the salary, the money was going to that. Remember, I said she had a company that was rendering services somehow. That money was going to that company. E, the person is economically dependent on the other person for whom or she works or renders services. She now dependent on herself. I don't know. Let's try to make it make sense. F, the person is provided with tools of trade or work equipment by the other person. Now, she provides her own tools of work. She doesn't, like, this laptop belongs to Effectus Harmony. It's not mine. So they're giving me tools. G, the person only works for or render services for one person. Remember I said there's 3 other companies that I don't want to talk about because it's a matter that is dealt with on its own merits. But also one of those companies, she even took to the CCMA to claim those monies. And there was a ruling, a jurisdiction ruling that she is not an employee because all these boxes are not ticked. So the other commissioner from the other case of the other company made a ruling on this same issue of confirming if this person is an employee or is not an employee. Yes, it might look like I am a horrible person because I'm fighting an 88-year-old Magogo. I call her Magogo. I address her like Magogo because she also struggles with combining bundles. I'll be the one helping her. The commissioner will be looking at me and like, this guy is not in a fighting spirit. I'm not a person who fights a lot, And it took half a day to compile those bundles. I helped her paginate those papers and everything. Assisted her with drafting the index of the documents, and she will forget to share other documents with me. But we are so patient. We are going now for the 3rd day of this arbitration, I think somewhere in June. So I'm just saying we must know what is an employee. Second case. Now this one is very funny and interesting. An employee is working for an organization which is doing industrial work. Let me take a sip. This organization is doing industrial work, so meaning most of their work is project based. So they will have a project here, they will have a project there, they will make structures for the business there. So now they were employed on a fixed term contract which is renewed yearly per annum. This year, come February, the fixed term contract expired. The company sat with everyone, they consulted. Gentlemen, all those people who were on a fixed term contract, we want to put them now on a permanent, indefinite contract, which is good news to me. But there are going to be changes here and there. Instead of you, when you're working overtime, instead of getting cash, you will be paid back in time off. You work overtime, but you will be given more time off. Remember, they're working on projects. So if this project is putting them under a certain pressure, they will work overtime there, but in return, they will be given time off. The gentleman refused to sign the contract because of that only one issue. Yesterday, we got to the CCMA. He explained to the commissioner what happened. The commissioner lost it. It's like, you refuse a permanent contract, which is favorable, just because you want to be paid cash for overtime. The commissioner lost it. So I'm just saying, now, on this one, it clearly shows that this guy got advice somewhere. I can bet this guy got advice from somewhere. But now, because the advice was wrong, he ran to the CCMA. Got to the CCMA, the commissioner did the Lord's work. We just sat back there with the employer, listened to the commissioner, hoying at him. Proper nogal. Proper hoy. So I'm just saying, advice. Whenever you get advice, be careful where you're getting advice from. Because most people will make you believe that they are knowledgeable when it comes to this kind of things, only to find that they're not. Now this guy, automatically, himself, he terminated his own contract by refusing to sign the new contract because his contract expired in February. And there was no impression. Remember, it's project-based. So there was no impression that it's going to be renewed. Depending on the workload and more jobs that the company will get, will renew. But on this one, they wanted to offer him a permanent job. But he refused. So I'm just saying, let's just be careful of the decisions that we make and the influence that we get from around the world, Jay, because also there's AI these days. A person will consult AI without verifying some of the factors, and then stick to the AI information. I'm not saying AI is a bad thing. AI is good, but you just need to also verify and do some sort of a homework, consult. There is the law still in the country. I'm just saying. I think we are done for today. Don't forget the job reviews. We do have post. Women on Tech. Have you announced this whole new website thing with the? Have you announced it? Okay, so people must just be on the look, ne? Okay, yeah, just be on the look on the new website of the Harmony People Network, and because that's where most we get the jobs. But there's always a link in our episode to say click here so that you can get those job reviews. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.
Good morning, everyone. Let's have a look at some of the vacancies posted nationwide on our Harmony People's Network this week. First up, a pharmaceutical company is seeking a procurement manager who is responsible for ensuring the effective sourcing, procurement, and availability of raw materials, components, packaging, and services required to support pharmaceutical manufacturing operations. Tech House is looking for sales agents. My clinic has an opening for a triage nurse to join a dedicated healthcare team committed to providing quality care, supporting patients, and promoting healthier communities. Last but not least, Basadi is hiring an import-export controller. For the full information of the mentioned positions, how to apply, as well as more available positions, find the vacancy link in the description. You will also find a link to a useful video on how to compose a winning CV and have a successful interview. Tune in again next week for more Harmony vacancies.